Last week, I sat down with one of our students, Melissa, and she told me something I had never heard before. During her insomnia struggle, she would record every minute and hour of sleep using a tracker. After a life-changing recovery, she would stop recording, but occasionally forget the tracker on, which would give her 3 years worth of data from when she struggled with sleep and data from after the transformation. And this revealed the true source of freedom from insomnia. Spoiler, the data showed no difference. Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm a sleep physician turned sleep coach and educator. And in this episode of Insomnia Insight, I have something to share with you that we've never talked about before. It is so incredibly valuable. And I'm thankful to Melissa for sharing this with us. And who's Melissa? Well, Melissa is actually someone that you'll get to know in the next episode of Talking Insomnia. It will be released 2 days after this particular episode. But I couldn't wait to share one of the key insights from her episode, from Melissa's episode. So let me tell you a little bit about Melissa. Melissa was someone who had found herself in a difficult struggle with sleep for many years. And eventually, when she had not been working for several months and she had to go back to work, she felt almost desperate. She had to get her sleep back on track because she's working shift works. And she went onto a health forum where somebody said, hey, check out the Sleep Coach School and read Set It and Forget It. And she did that. So Melissa, during her struggle with insomnia, she would use a tracker, and she would track her sleep, and she would have a spreadsheet, and she would know how many minutes she slept, how many hours she was awake, how much REM sleep, how all this data was available to her. She would track that very, very, very rigidly until she read Set It and Forget It, which is behind me here. And she also read This Is Nato, and she followed the channel. She was one of her students. And when she understood what insomnia was about, she realized it wasn't helpful for her to track and try to have control and monitor. And she let go of these sleep efforts and the attempts at monitoring. And this led to a true transformation for her. She told me when I spoke to her that it was as she was out of prison. She was free. It was not only about sleep. There were so many things in her life where she had been like kind of a perfectionist, trying to control, trying to fix. And when she started to let go of these things, her whole life changed, which was really, really wonderful. So again, after her sleep struggles was over, she felt like she had a new lease on life, like her whole life had changed. Now, as I mentioned, she stopped keeping track using her tracker, but sometimes she would forget to take this, this device off at night, which, would give her new data. So again, she would sometimes, after her struggle with sleep ended, she would just forget to take her tracker off. So it would give her data from both the time when she really struggled with sleep and from a time where she was free. She had no struggles with sleep. Things had gotten so much easier for her. And what she told me was really, really like so revealing and so kind of dramatic in a way. She said that when she looked at her sleep duration, comparing the 3 years when she really struggled with sleep and the current situation where she's not struggling, the number was exactly the same. She said there was like a 1 minute difference. I don't know which one direction, because it doesn't matter. It was like a 1 minute difference, she said, in terms of like the average sleep she slept when she got when she was struggling with sleep and after she struggled with sleep. And I think what this teaches us is so profound, which is that the freedom we have from insomnia, the true source of peace of mind and ease and bliss and tranquility and everything we want, does not come from sleeping more, sleeping faster, having less awakenings, or anything of this nature. It really truly comes from the inner narrative changing, the storyline changing, our self-understanding changing. So again, what Melissa Sinza teaches us is that it is truly not about the minutes or hours, but about the story we tell ourselves. Now, to get more specific here, why I think this matters so much, is that some of the most common questions we sleep coaches get are questions like, why do I wake up at 3 a.m.? How come I only get 2 hours? Or this tracking is often not necessarily a question, but last week I got on average 5 hours, but yesterday I only got 3 hours. I seem to average 2.5 at first, and then I'm up for an hour, and then I sleep again a little bit, 1 hour here. So often when we're struggling with sleep, we're so focused on this, like the minutes, the hours, the wakefulness here, the sleep there, the and it's natural that we find ourselves in that way because we have a sense that something has escaped us and we want it back. And tracking, whether it's physically tracking or kind of mentally tracking how much we slept yesterday, how much we slept the week before, it can seem really important, but it's actually just a distraction. It keeps us focused on what doesn't matter, which is the minutes and hours. And I think Alyssa's example truly shows this. What truly matters is that internal storyline. When we sleep a certain amount and we say, this was insufficient, this is not good, I have to get more, this means something is wrong, this means I will never sleep again, this means I'll never get well, this means I won't function, that is what keeps us in a struggle. And when that changes, when the storyline changes, then we simply go, oh, there's just been a kind of misunderstanding. There is no real threat. Being awake is no real threat. There's no real danger. I'm going to be fine. I'll be okay. I can function even if I sleep little. That leads us to peace and freedom and everything we want. So again, when that story changes, when the internal storyline changes, everything else becomes irrelevant. And we find ourselves where we want to be, which is a place of peace of mind and peaceful sleep. I hope you take a chance to listen to the full story with Melissa, but I really want to show this eye-opening finding she had. It is actually very much aligned with publicly available data from studies. If you people have done these type of studies where they take, let's say, 500 people. I'm just making up a random number. You take 500 random people and you give them a questionnaire and you ask them questions about sleep, and you say that, for example, it turns out that 15% have insomnia according to this questionnaire and the other 85% don't, and you actually objectively measure their sleep using EEG, for example, you will see that there is no difference. There is no difference between the group that identifies having insomnia and the group that doesn't. This is actually well known, but I'd never heard it in using the example that Melissa had, where she herself had tracked for 3 years and she herself saw that there was no difference. I thought it was really powerful. Now, one more thing before we conclude here is that this doesn't mean that if you had this experience of a sleepless night where you literally were up the whole night, this doesn't mean that you were wrong. That truly happened. And of course, like during times where like things are really difficult for us, it's not like we're kind of, it's all in our mind, and and I'm like kind of like gaslighting and saying like, oh no, it's not at all what you think. You're sleeping just as much that night when you had the experience of not sleeping at all as a random night. No, but kind of big picture, on average, if we over time, there is actually no objective difference, right? And I think that really matters because it sets us on the path that we want to be on, which is the path from, towards freedom and bliss and serenity. So I'll conclude there. I hope this is really helpful to you, and look out for the full episode with Melissa, which comes out in 2 days. Bye for now. Hi, it's me, Daniel, and I hope you found a lot of value in the video that you just watched. Now, I know insomnia can be an incredibly lonely place. You can feel isolated from everybody else because your friends, family members, coworkers, acquaintances simply don't understand what you're going through. And because they don't understand what you're going through, they also can't truly help you. Now imagine a place where everybody does understand you. Everybody has shared your experiences and know exactly what type of support and guidance will lead you to where you want to be, which is a place of peaceful sleep, feeling like yourself again, and feeling connected with the world. Such a place does exist, and it is called the Insomnia Immunity Program. And if you think it is time to join, then simply head over to our website, thesleepcoachschool.com, join the program, and we look forward to seeing you on the other side.